So, ladies and gents, Marvel has had a monumental failure with Captain America. It's kind of wrapped up now. I mean, it's still going, obviously, into theatres. Like, it's still there. But the rate of its box office is really, really slowed. And I think it's indicative of a larger thing when it comes to Marvel, a larger narrative, which is that they've just not made very good movies lately. Because is there an element of superhero fatigue? Yeah, probably. And I'm sure you'll let me know down below in the comments if that's something you're personally feeling. But categorically, if they released a good movie, people generally would probably go, and there would generally be good word of mouth. It's obviously not a foregone conclusion that, you know, good movies get good box offices. There's plenty of good movies that fail at the box office. But with a brand like Marvel, they need to come out with a good movie, and they would probably do okay. At least better than what we've got lately. But the narrative from all of mainstream media is, well, look, you know, summer's not doing very well. Blame anything but the studios, hey. So I thought we'd take a look, because of course this will be pulled from theatres soon. And by soon I mean quite literally the moment you've got Thunderbolts being released. This will probably end up being, you know, removed from theatres. May even go from theatres this weekend. Maybe when Snow White comes out. But let's take a look. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Please do turn those bell notifications on. If you're a returning viewer and you like what I do here, support me further via my Patreon and gain access to exclusive benefits. It's linked down below. Anyway, so you've got Variety here running major cope and damage control, I guess, for Disney and Marvel. And it really is. It really is. So I thought we'd take a look, sort of, you know, look at what they're saying, comment on it, what I think, and where the narrative should be, as opposed to what mainstream shills are saying. So it says this: as sequels like Captain America and Paddington fall short, and original films like Black Bag and Mickey 17 struggle, when will the box office rebound? You can kind of see it already, the narrative coming through. If Hollywood is looking to 2025 to reset the movie theatre business after a tough 5-year stretch, it's not off to the strongest of starts. Original films like Novocaine, Black Bag and Mickey 17 are failing to draw sizable crowds, while sequels in once reliable franchises such as Captain America Brave New World and Paddington in Peru are falling drastically short of their predecessors. Attendance is expected to pick up in spring and into summer as a Minecraft movie, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Jurassic World Rebirth, Lilo and Stitch, and other blockbuster hopefuls land in theatres. Until then, however, box office revenues are looking dire. And they are. They're doing terribly. Captain America is like limping its way to $400 million. That's it. Now, ordinarily, that would be a pretty good take, actually. You know, back in the day, 400 million was insane. But when you have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a movie, yeah, 400 million just doesn't cut it. Which is, I mean, it's madness to think. Now, I do think, actually, I mean, Mickey 17, sorry, I clicked on that. Mickey 17 is a movie which, you know, they didn't really market it very well. They didn't know how to market it. Novocaine, though, for instance, that's a movie which hasn't actually released worldwide yet. I think it's coming this weekend in the UK, or it has just released. Don't quote me on that. It's one of the two. But those are movies that ordinarily actually used to be the bulk of what a studio put out, was these like small movies, not Mickey 17, but like a Novocaine film, right? It's a small action flick, bit of comedy in there, bit of romance in there. And it's fun, right? But that's a movie that should have been made for, like, I don't know, $20 million, something like that. Like, no, it shouldn't really be made for anything, like really small budget. These are the kind of movies that theatres used to put out quite often. And there would be a pretty big hit with them coming out amongst the crowd. Not every single one of these films were a hit, but there was enough of them that there would be a hit amongst them. So it's interesting that that's where movie studios have pivoted towards, going back to their old thing. It says this: over the weekend, Paramount's Novocaine, an action comedy starring Jack Quaid as an unlikely hero who can't feel pain, crumbled in its international box office debut with $1.8 million from 19 markets. Though that represents just 25% of its overseas footprint, the film opened to number one in North America with $8.7 million for a global tally of $10.5 million. Now, I was right, actually. I said about 20 million, didn't I? $18 million. There you go. Now, that's a movie that would have ordinarily, back in the day, it would have made its money back because it would have had secondary and third markets to pull revenues from, right? So it would have had like rentals, right? Rentals was a big thing back in the day. You young whippersnappers won't know the joy of going to the local Blockbuster or local, movie rental place and on a Friday or a Saturday and getting a movie to rent and knowing that you had to pick the right one because that was the movie you were getting. But that would be a massive hit, actually. This would have been a pretty big hit back in the day, and it probably would have spawned a sequel. And then it would have been available on VHS, and then obviously Blu-ray and DVD, etc., etc. Now, 10.5 million is actually not great, because where's the other markets coming from? There really isn't any. And this is the problem with streaming. Streaming has killed these smaller movies that actually a movie studio needs to get back to. That is the movies they need to get back to. Now it says there, Steven Soderbergh's well-reviewed spy thriller Black Bag also fizzled with 4.2 million from 37 overseas market. The R-rated, starring Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender, enjoyed a stronger start at the domestic box office with 7.5, bringing its worldwide total to 11.7. It says forecast features backed the $50 million film. Now that's a film where the budget's probably taken up with its stars. But $50 million is way too much for a film like that. Again, that should have been like a $25 million film. And then it wouldn't have been that bad. Again, that 10.7 million opening weekend would have been seen, if it was like 25 million and back in the day, would have been seen as a success. But anyway, here's where we go to the fun stuff. Right, we'll breeze past Mickey 17. But here's the mainstay and here's the point of the video overall. Those films have more of a challenge in terms of getting people to theatres because they don't have the benefit of brand familiarity. Yeah, the goodwill that's built into long-running properties hasn't helped Disney's superhero adventure Captain America Brave New World, which is shaping up to be one of the lowest-grossing Marvel movies of all time. Not discounting, obviously discounting the Marvels, because that was fucking woeful. The tentpole, starring Anthony Mackie as the eponymous Avenger, added $6 million from 52 overseas markets over the weekend, boosting grosses to $203 million internationally and $388.6 million worldwide. It can barely hit $400 million. Oh my God. Now, with those ticket sales, the $180 million, it was way more than that. Shut up. The $180 million budgeted Captain America sequel has outperformed the flat-out disaster The Marvels, which did $207 million, and The Incredible Hulk, which did $264 million, but will conclude its theatrical run in the realm of disappointments, like The Eternals, which killed that franchise straight off, $402 million, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with $476 million. Now, those films were considered like extremely disappointing. The Eternals, as a box office blockbuster, destroyed that as a property moving forwards. They have not touched it since at all. They're just like, yeah, no, we're done. No, we're done with that. No, we're done with that. So why is it, and they say this as well, like Paddington in Peru also suffering diminishing returns. Did $2.3 million at the international box office, and now it's done $183.7 million worldwide. Now that cost $90 million, right? It's not exactly a lot, but $183.7 million, it's just starting to break even only on its production budget. Still got marketing on top of it, which I didn't see much marketing for. Fair enough. But the other films did pretty well. $326 million globally for Paddington, and then Paddington 2, $290 million globally. So what is it? It's shit films coming out. Now, I'm not saying Paddington 3 is shit. I'm not saying that. But Captain America is a crap film. It's a garbage film. It's a terrible film. And part of the problem there is that brand familiarity doesn't sell it anymore when the film is garbage. But it will sell it if the film is good moving forwards. At least with Marvel, I think, personally. But they haven't really offered a reason as to why. They haven't really explained why. They're just like, it's a disappointment. It's not done really, really well. So why is it? Is it apathy of superheroes? I think that's part of it, for sure. But I think the large portion of it is actually crap movies. Right? It would only take Marvel to release, 2 to 3 good films to buy back in the goodwill from the audience. And then they'd probably be back on top again. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. I mean, this is a disaster for Marvel. Like, unequivocally, it's just a disaster. You can't argue with it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.